Hi again, and welcome to the Stimulate Your Relationship show, where nothing is taboo and nothing is off limits for helping you to stimulate, excite, and reignite your relationship. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Zev Halpern. A stretch out of your comfort zone is risky, but in relationships and life in general, it can be the difference between a mediocre and stimulating life. My goals are to help you stimulate, explore, and excite your relationship in all facets, emotionally and physically. Stimulating your relationship can mean initiating a walk where you stroll holding hands. Wouldn't that be nice? It could be really listening to what your partner is saying, or it could be trying to find a way to invite your partner to the big event, and I think you know what I mean. I've found when you stimulate your relationship in all kinds of positive ways, your net result is a stimulated, happier, and more productive life. So let's get to it. We have an exciting show tonight. Julie and David Bulitt, lawyer and therapist, husband and wife authors, are here to tell us about their new book, Shoptalk. Dr. Melanie Ricaurte is here to talk with me about getting some of the things we physically crave in our relationships. We'll be digging deep into finding ways to help you stimulate your relationship for a happier time of it, and even an improved emotionally and sexually intimate experience. We always value your point of view, so let us know what's on your mind and what relationship challenges you want us to focus on. Send your comments directly to zev@stimulateyourrelationship.com. Please take this time to think about ways you can stimulate your relationship. So sit back, chillax, open your heart and mind, and consider some ways you can explore ways to enhance your relationship. Here's today's Rev with Zev moment. We live big portions of our lives in relationships. Some we fall into, some we pursue. But who prepared us for the ups and downs, arguments, disagreements, meltdowns that are so much a part of our lives together? So first, I want you to consider cutting yourself some slack. Stop looking for fault and recognize most of us were never prepared for life and relationships. Whatever we learned at school didn't even give us a heads up as to what was ahead and what we had to confront in the challenges of our relationships. Why do we choose who we choose? Why do we respond the way we do to relationship conflict? One undeniable fact is we're attracted to the familiar, good or bad. If your family yelled, you might find yourself yelling. If you had parents, well, they might have been the best role models, or maybe they weren't. Truth be told, we have to find our own way, especially in navigating ways to reduce conflict and meet each other's desires for a fulfilling time together. So as not to belabor this, I've created some virtual courses which address these very issues. My signature course, Spark, 3-week challenge, and Come Together address these relationship challenges head on. I encourage you to explore them, as you just might find some real answers to your relationship challenges. In a moment, I'll share how you can preview them, and I encourage you to do so. Take a look at this, and we'll be right back to introduce you to tonight's panel guests.
Scrivo quest'ultima canzone solo per ricordarti, partita.
Welcome back. One quick thing before I introduce our panel guests. After the show, please log on to RevwithZev to take advantage of free downloads and virtual courses, complete with hands-on tools you can do together today so you can promote understanding and stimulate your relationships. Free downloads can be found at RevwithZev.com. So log on, join the list so you continue to receive helpful ideas. And keep it stimulated out there. You won't be disappointed. And now, let's meet tonight's Panel 1 guests. What happens when a top divorce lawyer and a family therapist close the door and really talk? What's on their minds? What makes them laugh, yell, and cry? Who gets the last word? Married for 32 years, David and Julie Bulitt are that couple. David is one of the premier DC Metro family law attorneys, listed among Bethesda and Washingtonian Magazine, Best Lawyers in America and Super Lawyers. David has published 2 fiction novels. Julie is a licensed clinical social worker with more than 20 years of experience working with couples, children's, teens, and families, and the founder of Live Sane, LLC, which focuses on dealing with ADHD. Currently, she's also an in-house therapist at the Discovery Channel. Together, David and Julie have seen up close families struggling with life's most difficult challenges. At the same time, they've weathered their own challenges at home, raising 4 daughters, 2 biological and 2 adopted, and dealing with one child's mental health and behavioral issues, including eventual addiction and running away. What they've learned about saving a marriage, keeping a family together, or knowing when to call it quits, when to turn to professionals, or when to try tough love could fill a book, and it does. Their book, Shoptalk, tackles every corner of relationships with the wisdom, knowledge, and best advice, culled from David and Julie's unique experiences, drawn from notes of their discussions, chats, arguments, not always sober, and frank, funny stories. It openly tackles the basics, from getting along to parenting, communication, and sex, as well as hard-to-discuss issues like addiction, infertility, pornography, and family silence. Shoptalk takes you inside how these 2 professionals hash out some of life's toughest personal challenges, revealing what they really think and say to each other. So thanks so much for coming out, Julie and David. David's been here before and shared his wisdom. What happens, you deal with a lot of divorce, and he's given a lot of instruction to people about what not to do. And that's been very helpful to people, and I've heard that. If you want your marriage to succeed, maybe you might do this, says David. Yes. If you don't, here's the list of that. So we're going to talk about your book, Shoptalk, which is really exciting. 2 people in different trades get together, and husband and wife, and write, because you're unique, therapist and lawyer. So let's just talk, why'd you write it?
Well, let me just quickly. She's a very funny character, right? So over the
Clearly.
years, we've had millions of discussions. So she's got incredible. Her brain works in a way that I've never seen. So whether we're sitting on a beach, whether at the kitchen table, whether in bed, wherever we may be, sober or not, I started taking notes of those conversations, and I stuck them away. And about 1.5 years ago, we started talking that, well, maybe we could make something of this that people could actually use. And that was the genesis, the birth of the book.
You found a little treasure trove.
We found a treasure trove.
Right.
And we
Usually they keep notes, sometimes they want to throw them away.
Yeah, no, I kept them hidden.
One.
Yeah, we found a treasure trove, and we added to that, and that's how the book started.
How do you want the book to be received? You wrote it. What are people going to see? What are they going to get?
Well, I think it's a really good combination of both what we know as professionals with David, what he sees, sort of marriages getting in trouble and dissolving, and what I see people trying to do to keep their relationship going and their relationship and marriage going. And I think it's both a sort of, here's what we've learned, but we take it and we insert our own story and our own experience. So it's sort of like, this is something that we think is important and this is how we dealt with it. And we bring
32
it.
years.
32 years.
32
years.
And, you know, people often ask me, they go, hey, you know, you're in this business. Are you married? Yeah, I'm married. 36
Right.
years. Thank you very
Right.
much. I
Yeah.
get it.
Yes.
You know, and
Right, and it's, you know, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to keep a relationship going. And, you know, as you said in the beginning of the show, nobody can really prepare you for being married or being in a relationship.
because it's unique.
It's
about
unique.
the two
Yeah, there's no
people,
manual
The two players who
Yeah.
are on the stage.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's
that's
no
it.
800 number to call,
Right.
you know? So what we would like to have from people reading the book is lots of things. Learning a little bit about maybe how to communicate differently or think about issues. I'd like people to laugh. I'd like people to think, and I'd like people to act differently with their partner.
And ask questions,
Yeah.
questions. I mean, we spend a lot of time making sure that a theme in the book is that this isn't the 5 love languages. This isn't the love lab. This
No,
isn't a
this is
scientific.
life, this is all the way live.
That's exactly right.
Life
This
is
is on the
live.
street.
It is.
And so therefore we felt very strongly we had to insert some of what we went through, not just what we see, funny, not funny, sad, whatever it may be, but
Serious.
also what we ourselves went through. So there's a fair amount of that strewn and throughout the book.
So you might see that people will know that, you know, sometimes you got to put your 2 feet down and be grounded and be, you know, I also,
Absolutely.
you know, adopted a daughter, and you got to be grounded even from the get-go of doing that and seeing it through, because we should and we have to, and seeing it through isn't so easy because we don't know what's around the corner. And I think, you know,
No
that's what
question
I'm
about it.
understanding from, you know, the book that you've
Yeah,
written.
what's interesting about it, and there's a lot of books about couples and a lot of books about relationships that are out there. And what differentiates ours, aside from the fact that it comes from a married divorce lawyer and a therapist, a couples therapist,
Which is cool.
It's cool
Which is
in and
very
of
cool.
itself. But what it also is it draws directly from these conversations that we had. They weren't edited. They weren't washed out. They're real conversations that the two of us had, and a lot of the book is built on the backs of those discussions. And if you think about, you know, how relationships are built and where we tend to have fights or disputes, whether it be sex or money or about our kids, the book is broken into those types of areas and with a series of conversations and chapters.
So
that
these
deal with that stuff.
conversations they're not just, you know, happy there when the thing hit the fan. These are conversations
Absolutely.
about when the thing,
Yeah.
when it didn't go well, when it went south, when it went wherever, another crazy place that it went. And when I read your novels, I see it clearly, it comes out, you know, and
thank
especially
you.
in the last one.
Thank you.
You know, I got that. We don't have a lot of time, but I want to ask you, how do you guys stimulate your relationship? What do you do? Just quickly.
Sure. So first of all, we're very fortunate to spend a lot of time together, which I think is helpful, because I think in this very busy world that everybody's in, lots of times people are not spending time together. They're not connecting. And the people that I work with and for ourselves, I find when you aren't connecting with somebody, and I'm talking about talking and physical connection, that you tend to fight more.
You just touched me, Bob.
I just touched him, and he really liked it.
That's good. All right. So we got stimulation happening right here.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And it's all good.
Yes.
And really, I can only wish, you know, that this book becomes something, you know, that people
Thank
really
you.
can use, something that, you know, goes the distance and meets the challenges that you guys probably had in putting it together. And we didn't get a chance to talk about the behind the scenes stuff, but I can only imagine what it was like to look at those pages again and have them jump back out
Sure,
to you. That's some history. You know, it's not all about passion. It's about, that's scary.
It's not-
Yeah,
it's a-
yeah, and a couple people that have read it and reviewed it said something about the vulnerability, and I think that's an important theme. As a therapist, I try to be vulnerable in an appropriate way with my clients. With my husband, I try to be, vulnerable as well, and putting
Well,
yourself
it's clearly
out there.
that, it's clear that the two of you have a special relationship. It's strong, it's built upon challenges that you've been through, and I can't wait to read the book, and please let us know, and please come back. I'm delighted to have Dr. Melanie Ricaurte here for the Sexpectations segment. She's a licensed psychologist and certified sex therapist. She focuses on helping individuals and couples navigate the challenges faced when different aspects of their identity are in conflict with one another or themselves. Dr. Ricaurte works hard to tailor collaborative approaches so clients can work on the specific areas they want help with. Her practice is located in Rockville, Maryland. Hi, Melanie. So nice to see you. So tell us about the new stuff in the practice. Well, what do you got? What's it called?
So it's called Harmony Holistic, and at this point it's more of an integrative wellness center,
Very nice.
focusing on working with adults. So I have two wonderful acupuncturists who are part of it, another couples and family therapist. I will have a nutritionist on board starting in October, and a couple other associates that will focus on
Somebody got
adults.
motivated,
Yeah.
big time, right? In
Yep,
all
yep.
kinds of ways. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
On that. It sounds fantastic. We've known each other for a while. And it's nice to
Yeah.
see how it evolves. It really is. So we see a lot of couples, and some of them just aren't happy, and some of them kind of, in couples, one is somewhat, doesn't really, is so disconnected, and the other one wants a relationship. So what do we do with these people? What do we do to get them, to tell this other person that, it's not about the TV, it's not about the couch, I want you, in my life. I want you to be present. So what would you say?
I think part of it is kind of what you just mentioned right now. Directly asking the other person, I want you to be present, and being able to express that in a kind, loving way, and coming from that perspective of the reason why I want this time is because I love you and I care about you and you're a priority to me.
So what if this person, which we encounter all the time, there are many reasons. They're scared, and they have reason to be.
Sure.
You say, could you do this? And you catch all of a sudden you're a deer in the headlight.
Mm-hmm.
How do we, our role is to get these people to say what it is they have to say, and making sure that, they don't get hurt in the process, like teaching them to duck, and get out of the headlights. I had so many people have come and said, I feel like a deer. He starts screaming, she's screaming, I'm stunned. You had that?
Yes, and I think we're in that stunned place. Usually their fight or flight response is activating. So what they need to do is deactivate, focus on relaxation techniques, meditation, learn to self-regulate, while also building safety in the relationship, right? So what are they afraid of?
Between the crying,
Right.
about how crappy their relationship
Right.
is and how disconnected they are. You could spend a lot of time thinking about it.
Right.
And people do.
And oftentimes those are vicious cycles, and people are very afraid of being vulnerable. But then what you can focus on, whether it's with the individual or the couple, is what's a bigger risk, continuing as they are and drifting further and further apart until they're divorced, or could they be willing to take the risk of working on communication, on empathy, and so on, with the hope that their relationship will improve? So they have way more to lose by continuing as they are than by taking the risk and having things be different.
Right. The consequences sometimes have to weigh, in the way of, is it worth it for me to say something to this person anymore? I'm done. I've said it about, and they start counting, they put the clicker on, and it's true, they have. So how they break through, how we get them to break through this, to get the courage. Sometimes you have to tell people, guess what? If you want what you want, talk a little bit about that, what you've seen in people being able to build the courage to basically say, I want my life to go in a certain way and I'm tired of waiting.
Yeah.
It's now.
I'm a little bit torn about the idea of ultimatums, but I actually think they can be healthy in certain contexts. Not the ultimatum of, you need to fix this immediately or I'm
outta
out,
here.
but instead saying, hey, I've asked something from you that's very important to me for a long time and nothing is changing, and I am at a place where I'm trying to decide whether I want to continue this relationship or not. So saying in that way, even though it comes off as an ultimatum, to some degree allows the person to be assertive and express their needs while also allowing the other person to make a choice. Hey, will they hear me, or will they just say, sorry, I can't provide that for you, and then both people have the option of what to do with their
Or
lives.
will they yell at me? Or is it even consequential? Like, is what I said, that's perhaps the hardest thing, is when you have this heavy heart and it's just loaded down and you realize you say the things to the person and there was no point.
Right.
But we have to get them to understand there is a point.
Yeah.
The point is a direction they might not want to go.
Yeah.
And that might be the alternative. However, it might be a better alternative. That's where we get resistance. Talk
And
a
we
little bit
can
about
role play with them, right? So when there's resistance, you can sit with the other person and have them talk about the different scenarios they imagine for their life. And if they express the need, what might end up happening if they say it in a few different ways, what they think the partner's response may be. And if you play out those scenarios, they might get to a place of, you know what, the one scenario of expressing what I need may not end up being so
So I think
bad.
you talked about something really important, how you do it, how this is communicated. Some people have to go into very long, giant, oratories about, how hurt they are and how it's more like a, excuse me, this is a public service message, with a, it's a spot, whatever they call it, and say it short, go short, don't go long.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just can't, they're hurting so much it appears. They come back and say, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
What do you say to them?
Maybe instead of being direct about their feelings, then at that point, I wonder if they could ask a question instead. So could they ask their partner about how they're feeling about the state of their relationship? So that way, by asking questions, sometimes they're in a less vulnerable place than if they directly say what they're feeling. So if I say to you, hey, how are you feeling about our relationship? How often we're spending time
So
together?
do it like a question,
Yeah.
switch it up.
The other person might be, you know
Right.
what? I've been thinking about it too. Let's do something. Or if they say, I'm fine, things are great, you can still say, well, I don't feel the same. That
No.
might be easier.
Melanie, it's always great when you're on. You always have some great things to say, clearly experienced, and you've heard it and you understand it, and that's important. And just remind us of the name again.
Harmony Holistic.
Harmony Holistic. So I look forward to having you back, and we might even do a little podcasting. I look forward to that. Thanks so much.
Sounds great. Thank you.
To find out more about our panel guests, here's how to contact them. To connect with Dr. Melanie Ricaurte, to connect with Julie Bulitt, to connect with David Bulitt. My consulting and coaching practice has allowed me the unique privilege and opportunity to work with couples with a wide array of relationship challenges: infidelity, communication, sexual concerns, both face-to-face in Maryland and virtually all over the world through my online relationship stimulation consulting practice. I invite you to find out more about how I can help you stimulate your relationship in my signature program, Spark. Stimulate, explore, and excite your relationship. Just log on to RevwithZev and get the scoop. Get in touch with me, and let me help you transform your relationship into a truly stimulating and exciting adventure. You could begin to resolve some of that raw relationship conflict, reconnect for a deeper, more exciting relationship. Please check out all my social media platforms. I'm live on Facebook at Stimulate Your Relationship, and you will find ways every day to stimulate your relationship into the enjoyable space it absolutely can be. We'll leave you tonight with a few ways you can stimulate your relationship. Say "I like it" when your partner does anything that makes you feel special and sexy, and you'll increase the chances of it occurring more often. When you hug, do it like you mean it. Run your hand down your partner's arm or back. Be a little frisky. Send a message. Finally, try asking yourself, what's right with our relationship, instead of focusing on what's wrong. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Zev Halpern. See you next time for a jam-packed episode of Stimulate Your Relationship.